Hi everyone. So today, it's kind of a, I don't know if sentimental is the right word, but we've got Riley and Sally for the first time together. Those of you that have been following for a while know that our first team was a team of Belgians. It was Sally and her sister, Izzy. We're just assuming they're sisters. So it's kind of nice. It's been over a year since we basically retired Izzy from any sort of heavy farm work. We just try and keep her mind occupied at this point, but she's not capable of working in a team. So it's really nice. It's been 15 seconds and it's really nice to see two Belgians together again. I'm not necessarily one of those that needs to always have matched teams from a breed perspective, but there's no denying how beautiful it really does look when the horses are of the same breed. We're going to see how well matched they are. They're just sort of figuring things out right now. Riley's a very steady, ploddy horse, and Sally's a very go, go, go horse. So I imagine it's going to be a bit of a challenge until Sally gets her initial energies out of her. Much like it was when we first put her and Mable together about a year ago. Now they make an excellent team. They've adapted to each other. And the same can be said. We recently put Charlie and Mable together. Charlie seems to be able to adapt to anybody. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to put them on the disc today for a couple reasons. One, it's a pretty good pull, so it'll tire out Sally fairly quick is what I'm thinking, and Riley has far more stamina than she does, so he should be able to keep up, and then we'll see how they smooth out as a team. And we're going to head out there shortly. You may see that there's a neck yoke up there, even though we don't have a tongue on the disc, especially with a team that hasn't worked together before. It's just something that'll help keep them together at the front for now. Although I don't think that's going to be a huge problem, because each of these horses individually have far more experience than I do, in the sense that they've been driven for most of their lives. Riley's 15 and Sally's 20. And we've only been at this for a couple years, so I think they know what they're doing, and better than I do. Sorry, and so we'll see how it goes today. Team. I can tell you right now, Riley's step is far more lively than it usually is. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but Sally's walking at her normal pace and he's staying right with her. It'd be a very different story with an implement, but whoa, back team, back it up, back it up, back it up, back, whoa. So that was pretty cool. I've never seen Riley work like that. He's still he doesn't, I don't know if he's had any farm experience, so I'm not really sure if he knows this task. He seems a little uncertain, whoa, of the direction, but he's adjusting very well. He's keeping up as best as he can with Sally, for sure. And I took them through what is essentially mud over there on purpose, just because it's a much harder pull through there. And the moment we got in there, he stepped up and actually led the pull a few times. And I kind of expected to see that as well. So he obviously really likes what he's doing out here. They're working very well together. He's a little bit less responsive than I'd like on the turns. That's the reason I'm turning the way I am on the inside, because Sally is overly responsive, but she's sort of guiding him along when it comes to that. So I figure after a few rounds they're gonna be quite a joy, and I'm actually quite surprised. I have quite a bit of tension on the lines, so I'm holding them back. If I actually let them go a little more, they'd be at a trot, pulling a disc, which is quite a bit. We just have a very small disc here. If I was doing this for several hours, we'd have 3 and potentially 4 horses on here. Because what we find, even with this one, I'm only going to be out for about an hour today. They start to get pretty tired, and you're having to take almost as many breaks, spend as much time resting as working, and that's obviously not very productive or efficient. But for now, very pleased. Super nice to see a couple Belgians in front of me again. Very happy about that. And what is also great is even just that first little round and through the mud, I wasn't expecting Riley to be winded at all. He's in a bit better shape than Sally is with respect to that kind of stamina, just being a younger horse. Sally's in good shape too, but she can tend to take a little bit longer to recover, given her age. And she's fine. She's ready to go. So off we go. All right, team. So we're about to enter the mud again, and you should be able to see them pull a bit harder. See how Riley stepped up right here? It's becoming a harder pull. So I'm not even having to tell him to do that, and I love that. Because he knows normally if he's falling back on heavy load, I have to tell him to do something. So he's responding as he is expected to without being told. It's awesome. If you're wondering why we might be out here in these conditions, pushing the end of April, and I've actually plowed this field 3 weeks earlier than we are now, but we've had an incredibly wet spring. The majority of the field's okay, but we're renovating it. We plan to plant some stuff out here this year, but I'm not overly concerned with sort of the conditions, and it's time to get going when we have a chance. We've had 3 days without rain, and now we're expecting a week or so straight of rain. And so if I can get some stuff done today and maybe tomorrow morning, that would be great. You're breathing. That was about a round and a half. So we've been working them, or I should say exercising them pretty good this year, especially with that excavator track. That's what keeps them in shape. Otherwise, in conditions like this, of course, we don't shoe the horses either, so I don't know how much that would help in the muddy stuff, but anybody who's walked in mud knows that it's a little harder also, so that's adding to the pull, which is great, and it's great to see how good a shape they're in coming into spring. That's something we're really trying to keep in mind, because you know, if they're out of shape, you need a month to sort of get them back into shape, and if you've got some heavy jobs to do, you're just not going to get stuff done. And you know, that's when you tend to jump on the tractor, because it's, you know, for lack of a better word, it's always ready to go. And so it just underlines the importance of, if you're wanting to work with your horses, to keep them in shape and keep them regularly exercised. I could go on about that for quite a bit, about the benefits of that, and it's not just their own attitudes and behavior improves the more often you're working with them, but there's some health reasons as well. So if you're just kind of occasionally using them and expecting them to work really hard, it can kind of backfire on you. And there's something called Monday morning disease that just makes them very incapable of performing, and it gets the name from people giving their horses the weekend off and then putting them out there for an extended day on the Monday, and they're just not ready for it. It's the kind of animal that, of course, they need a day off from time to time, and depending on age and other reasons, they may need more than that, but by and large, they're literally built to be working almost every day, and under some, you know, and good working too. So we're trying to balance that by keeping them in the best shape we possibly can, while not in any way, shape, or form overworking them. I'd rather leave it as underworked, and the way I see that is their retirements will be a little more comfortable. It's pretty obvious to us, especially with Izzy and Sally. Sally's been great. She's not injury prone or anything like that. She's a little skinnier than I'd like her after this winter, but there could be a number of reasons for that, from just hay quality to it was a pretty rough winter, and she's getting a bit older, so we're going to be careful with that. But certainly with Izzy, and you know, when the horses are forced to work almost every day, and I hate to use the word forced, when they're asked to work almost every day and long days, things like arthritis and joint issues are going to catch up with them. It's just the reality, and we'd like to avoid that if possible. And you know, once they're at a point where it doesn't make any more sense for their own safety and for their own comfort to be doing any sort of heavy work, that they can just enjoy their retirement here. It's interesting watching them interact together as well. Riley's being awfully lovey with her. He's even giving her, he's not nipping at her. It's,
he did earlier.
I realize he did earlier, but he's below Sally in the hierarchy of the herd. And she's completely ignoring him when we're at rest or whatever. And he's always had a bit of this, it's an issue. Neither of us really like it. His head has a lot of action, so we're going to be putting, what are they called?
A check rein.
A check rein on him, at least.
To stop him from moving his head like he
exactly.
Does. He yanks the lines out of our hands, basically. Only when we're stopped, though.
Yeah, he's a very good horse to drive. He does not like being stopped. Whereas someone like Sally, she does not move for the most part, and her head is forward, and she just waits. And he's very just a lot of action with his head standing still. Part of that is impatience. He's not tired right now. He wants to work, and I know when he's a little bit more tired, he doesn't do that. Not near as much anyway. But I can't push Sally as hard as I'd need to in order to tire him out today. And I kind of thought it was going to be the opposite. Alexa and I had actually discussed that we should probably, you know, tire Sally out a bit before throwing her with Riley, and it's the opposite. The next time I work with them, I'll probably make sure I get Riley a bit of exercise because as much as Sally pulls harder and a little faster, as I mentioned, she just doesn't have the same amount. His stamina is remarkable. He certainly gets winded, but he recovers almost immediately, and he doesn't like standing around when it's work time. So, on that, any of you experienced folks that have any other suggestions for that? I know making the move is the thing to do, but if it was both of them, which we've had that issue with Riley and Charlie together a few times, they really don't like standing around. In that first hour of work or so, they just want to go. And I don't mean in a fast sense, but they just want to be working. So in a situation like this where you're trying to sort of make two teams work well together, if you have any suggestions, please comment. All right, team. Let's go. Well, that's I'm gonna work them for a little bit more, but I'm very, very pleased. As I kind of expected, given their experience, um, they work excellently together. I'm happier than I thought I would be. I was expecting a bit of a challenge given the difference in the horses, but Riley has stepped up for sure. So once again, it's there's no, every horse has their strengths and weaknesses, and I'm sure there's a perfect horse out there, but we're not necessarily looking for them. But very pleased with this boy. From our little spill we had a few months ago to anything else we've done with him, he's a great horse. Sweet boy, great horse. And it goes without saying, Sally's always going to be special to us. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
One of our first two horses from our first team, and we know what to expect from her. That's the nice thing. And anybody who's had some older, very well experienced mares knows the benefit that they bring to a working horse farm. And yeah, she's been awesome. So we'll carry on with our work today and have a nice day.